Hi John, I want to thank you for sending in your sample for us to test on the Clicker 700 press. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do 3 different dies. I do not have your dies because I need a purchase order or something before that, but I do have some similar type dies. This is a regular steel rule die. This is a 3.25 square. With this setup, I've got my cutting board mounted to the top. Now you can do this several ways. I know this is a medical application and you may not be touching this material, but this is the way I'm going to show you how the press works. I'm going to lay the material right on top of the die. I'm going to slide it in. I'm simply going to punch it out. Now that material cuts out very, very clean edges. If you can see that, it's very nice and neat on around the edges. The centerpiece, the square that it cut out, is very clean. Now, I'm going to do a little different setup. I'm going to take the die. I'm going to have the board on the bottom. I'm going to lay the material down on top of the board. Now I have a small die here, the same type of die, steel rule die, but it has a square with circles on it. Now, in this application, what I recommend is an acrylic die base so that you can see through the die. So you can actually put the die right on top of the material, and you can save a lot of material with this type of die. Now what you do is just lay this right on top, and you'll slide this in. Punch it out. Now this die has ejection foam that pushes the parts out nice and neat. You can have, as I said, it cuts out very nice and clean, and the edges are all punched out nice and neat. Now that is a steel rule die application. Now I have another die I'm going to show you, just to see how it tests with your material. In order to do that, I have to change cutting boards because the die itself is taller than the steel rule dies. This is a 1 1/4 inch clicker die is what we call it. It's simply a steel die in the small configuration. Now what I'll do is I'll lay the board on the bottom. We'll put our material down. We'll lay the die on top. Simply slide it and cut it out. Now this is the same. You're not going to get as clean of a cut. If you've noticed, the edges are just a little bit frayed on that because the difference in the die blade itself. This die is more like a Bowie knife compared to a steel rule die, which is more like a razor blade knife. So I'll go ahead and I'll do one more cut on here, and I'll send all these samples back to you. I'll go ahead and set this down on here, and we'll cut this out to show you the difference in it. This is a smaller board, so we'll have to switch back to the thicker board, and that's a very quick way of cutting with different sized dies without adjusting the press. And this just simply slides in. And with this die, usually there's ejection foam inside the die as I showed you, but this one has a hole in it so I can punch the material out from the back side. Now that gives you a nice clean cut also. Now this is the way the steel rule dies will cut your material. I'll send you this video and we'll discuss it. Thank you.